Back in June 2025, the Maryland Transit Administration brought back the Penn Shuttle, basically the light rail line that runs specifically from Camden Yards up the Howard Street corridor and onto this little bridge over I-83 into the heart of Penn Station. I was excited that it was back, and in my video on Boston versus Baltimore, I did a little bit of a preview of the Penn Shuttle. I was at where the Penn Shuttle picks you up at Penn Station, and I rode it down to Camden Yards. With the Penn Shuttle, going through that downtown corridor becomes even more frequent because there is another service adding frequency to the line. If you have watched my videos before, you know that I do not have very favorable things to say about Baltimore's light rail. But I want to make sure that the blame is going to the right parties. A lot of you who take the light rail, probably to an Orioles game or a Ravens game, may park your car in Hunt Valley or park your car in Timonium and get on the train and head down. And when you get into the city, you notice that it stops a lot. Not because it has to continuously stop to pick up passengers, but because it has to continuously stop at red lights. Yes, a train stops at red lights. If that sounds ludicrous, that's because it is ludicrous. But the thing is, that is not the MTA's fault. Let's provide some context. In Baltimore City, every road is the responsibility of City Hall, including Howard Street, which is the main corridor for the light rail through downtown Baltimore City. So when a light rail rider like me gets upset that the light rail stops at a bunch of traffic lights through downtown, it's not the MTA that they're mad at, it's Baltimore City. That means that not only is the city responsible for the road and its upkeep, but it's also the entity that could change it for the better to make the light rail move faster through downtown. Yeah, so it is not the MTA's fault that the light rail just so happens to run down a corridor that Baltimore City does not want to give priority to the train running down the middle of the street. Now, you will commonly hear from the Baltimore City Department of Transportation that the timing of the traffic lights and transit signal priority are going to help a lot of this. But here's the thing. That's a whole lot of bullshit. It would be one thing if the light rail had this treatment everywhere in Baltimore County, in Baltimore City, and in Anne Arundel County. But here's the thing. In Baltimore County, where it crisscrosses streets and goes into Hunt Valley Shopping Center, it's given gates. Even in portions of Baltimore City, it's given gates. And of course, in Anne Arundel County, down by the airport, it is given gates. If you've taken the light rail to BWI, to an Orioles or Ravens game, or just to downtown in general, you know the struggle. You have been sitting on that train and you have watched cars cross in front of the train. And you have wondered why that happens. I want you to know you're not crazy. Well, today we are going on the Penn Shuttle to not just explore that connection, but also explore why Howard Street doesn't have priority for the light rail. All right, let's get started watching the Penn Shuttle and critique Howard Street. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to have, along with the video of the Penn Shuttle, or just in general, the Howard Street corridor as we're on the light rail, you are going to see a stopwatch. Basically, we are going to time how long it takes for us to get from Penn Station to Camden Yards with all of the traffic lights that we have to stop at. And at the end, we're going to see just how long all of those traffic lights sat red and let cars go by a train with people on it. Okay, so let's start the timer here and start the video here. All right, we are a go on the light rail. There is the JFX, the Jones Falls Expressway, to your left. Above us is a highway overpass. There is the substation next to Penn Station there. You can see the Howard Street Bridge in the distance. I love this line, to be honest. I think this is one of my favorite little spurs on the Baltimore system. It's just really cool to see a direct rail connection to the busiest train station in the state. So love that. Love that we have it. I love that it's back. I think it's a great asset. And I think that if more people, A, knew about it, and B, had stuff to go to along Howard Street, it wasn't fairly empty, as you'll see, that this would get a ton of ridership. We just got to figure out a way to finagle it. So as we can see, we are approaching Mount Vernon Station. You can see the 5/1s here on the left. Those are the apartments with the brass tap bar underneath. And here are the low-level platforms here at Mount Royal. And as we come into the station, as you can see into this shot here, you'll be able to see cars passing in front of the train here. We are 1 minute and 45 seconds in now, and we have gone from Penn Station to Mount Royal on a dedicated right-of-way. There's our first car there. And as you can see, it stopped. That makes sense, right? Because we're on a train and the train's coming. But wait a second. The car just went. Why did the car just go? There's another one and another one. Why are they going? We're on a train. Why are they going that way? They should not be going that way. We should not be waiting. The train should be the thing moving. And they should be waiting for us. There should be crossing gates. There's another one. Why is this happening? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. There's people. There's another car. Everybody's crossing, and we're not. Here we go. Finally, as you can see, there's a little signal here. It says train coming. What do we see here? No crossing gates for a train. What are we doing, Baltimore City? As we pass that gateless intersection, we are now entering a dedicated right-of-way for the light rail. This is what it should have everywhere. It should not have periods where it is stuck at traffic lights. We were at that traffic light for almost 1.5 minutes, almost as long as it took us to get from Penn Station to Mount Royal. That's unacceptable. Now you're thinking, hey, we're stopping. Are we at another stop? No, we're not. There's no platform, and the cars are going in front of the train. Again, going in front of the damn train. Here we can see, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to lap. I'm going to see how long we're stuck here. So I give or take add about 2 or 3 seconds here. So we are now 10 seconds in, and all of these cars just keep going, keep going, keep going, and keep going. I mean, yes, several seconds, but it adds up over time. We're just sitting here. We could be moving people. And at the end of the day, and look, cross traffic from the other direction now coming our way. Look, I get it. This is a really tricky intersection. There's a lot of moving parts here. We're one of those moving parts on the train. We're a train. Again, as you can see, no gates, and there's 2 light rail vehicles making their way through. Now we are at a stop. Now it makes sense for the light rail to stop. That took us 55 seconds. So basically a minute, because I started it late, where we were just sitting at a traffic light. Now we have about 2 minutes that we have wasted sitting at traffic lights. We're picking up passengers. We are at the next station. I believe this is Cultural Center. And now the train's moving. And we are on a dedicated right-of-way right now, which, again, we should have. Dedicated rights-of-way are the best. As you can see, the train's moving. We're at about 5 minutes, 15 seconds now. And as you can see, this dedicated right-of-way hits the street and the train has stopped. Are we at another stop where we're picking up passengers? No, we are not. What do you see? In the background here, cars sitting there waiting. Why isn't the train moving? The cars are just sitting there waiting. Shouldn't the train be able to move? Wait a minute. What? Oh yes, that's right. The cars get to go first. So you are on a train, and we're going to lap again, and I'm going to keep forgetting to freaking do that, but whatever. The train is just sitting there, guys. Like, what are we doing here? It's just sitting here. I mean, like, if you were, be very real. If you were on a train and you had to wait for traffic to, not to mention the fact that Baltimore drivers block the box like crazy. 30 seconds. We were sitting there for 30 seconds waiting for that light. Now we are crossing Howard Street at grade with traffic. We're crossing another intersection with traffic lights that doesn't have signal priority. So basically what happens is we got lucky there that we just went right through. We just got the light. And now we are on the Howard Street corridor. As you can see, while the light rail is on the street level, we do not technically have a dedicated right-of-way yet. There's a double yellow there, but there's cars going north and the cars going south kind of share this part of the road with us. And now, are we at a stop? Are there passengers to pick up? No, there are not. We are waiting at another traffic light. So we will get going here. Do 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 do. So we're going to talk about the Howard Street corridor a little bit in this video too. I love the Howard Street corridor. Unfortunately, the city does not feel the same way for whatever reason. All right, so that was another 30 seconds that we were sitting there. 25. So we are moving again. Overall, it's just kind of slow. You know, it's just not as fast as it could be. Here's another intersection where we could get got by the traffic light, but luckily we didn't because it just so happened to be green. We are now approaching a stop where we will pick up passengers, and that will be an appropriate stoppage of the light rail. See, this is all well and good. We've picked up passengers, and as soon as they get on, we should go, right? Because that just makes sense. You're getting on a train, you should just be able to go, hey, we got a little buddy. Hey, buddy, good to see ya. These single carriage trains, they're actually pretty great. As you can see, what happened here was we got lucky. The light was red, not on purpose, by happenstance. The light rail going through the intersection. That's awesome. We picked up passengers and we just get to go. That's what it should be everywhere. As you can see, we're starting to go. We get lucky again. They stopped for us. That's perfect. That's exactly what it should be if you're going to have this thing running on street level. Now, we are going to see that we have more crossing traffic. Are we at a stop? Are we picking up passengers? No, we are not. That's the problem. So we are sitting at a red light, and I forgot to lap again. Whatever. Yeah, like look at this. These cars are crawling across. Now imagine there's a backup on this road, this cross street here. And these cars are just ba-boom, ba-boom over the tracks, and they just have to stop. And then the light turns green for us, but it's red for them, but they got nowhere to go. That happens all the time on this mode. Sitting here, sitting here, sitting here, waiting. Bueller. Finally, we move. That was 40 seconds long. So now we are continuing to go down. Here we go. We're approaching another stop. Which, again, stops are appropriate. You need them. You don't need a bunch of freaking traffic lights. Again, the Howard Street corridor, I love it because it's got so much great history and amazing bones, and I just wish we loved it enough to treat it with the respect that it deserves. Like, I truly, truly do. There is no reason that the city of Baltimore can't make this a corridor that essentially is flush with small businesses. Just go to the HBCUs, go to the high schools, get these business majors, and if they have a great idea or whatever, give them a scholarship and send them down to the Howard Street corridor and basically give them the space. Anyway, we'll do more videos about that in the future, but it just really gets to me that we don't prioritize this enough. Here we are, we've picked up passengers, we should be able to go, correct? First of all, what are you doing here? Shared corridor. Again, not great. Another thing that you don't see, you see a lot of people traveling in cars going this way, horizontally, but you do not see a lot of people traveling in cars going north and south. So here we are again. Now we're moving because we were at a red light. We were at a stop as well. Here, there's more cars coming up the road, but again, you don't see, I think I can count on one hand how many cars I've seen going north and south. So here we go. We've crossed another intersection. That's great. That's what should happen on this mode. And now we are coming up to another street here. That is the Baltimore Arena. Are we at a stop? No, we are not. The Baltimore Arena stop is on the other side. As you can see, we are now stuck at another traffic light in downtown Baltimore City on a very busy street. Oh joy. We are sitting here waiting. Be honest with me. Would you be patient? Would you be sitting there thinking, wow, this sure is quick? No, you would not. You'd be agitated. You'd be actively agitated. Imagine this train is full of people going to an Orioles or Ravens game, and you're just stuck at a traffic light waiting for like 3 people in cars to cross. Now we finally get moving. That was another 50 seconds that we just stayed stuck at a traffic light. Now we get to go pick people up, which again, there's stops for that take time. So again, I get it, and it feels like I'm kind of griping over these 50, 45 second stops that the light rail is making at these random traffic signals across the Howard Street corridor. But the thing is, those add up, especially when you consider the fact that there are a plethora of stops along that corridor that you have to make. It's not just a pull service like a bus. This thing's going to make all the stops. It's the point. That's what it's supposed to do. So now we get all of the passengers coming on. And again, as you can see, there's not a lot of people coming up Howard Street. Are we at a stop here? No, we are not. We are at a traffic light. And it's not cross traffic this time that's got the go ahead. It was a left turn lane there, as you could see. But now pedestrians and cars have the right of way to go across the intersection here. And that was a handful of cars. 1, 2. There's a bus that's probably got at least 10, 15 people on it. Again, there's a Howard Street tunnel underneath of this, yes. All right, so that was another 45 seconds that we were stuck at a traffic light. There's the Howard Street tunnel that's underneath of this. That is a freight tunnel. CSX owns it. The reason they did this on the street was because they wanted to keep the alignment relatively the same. But basically, and here we are approaching the convention center. This is a major congestion point, and we got really lucky here that we hit that light. Now we are approaching the convention center station. on Pratt Street, where we will stop, justifiably so, and people will get on board. What was I saying? Anyway, yes, I am a huge fan of the idea for this alignment. The problem that we had was we didn't elevate it. I think the best possible thing would have been to elevate the alignment on, like, you know, sort of a Chicago L style viaduct through that area. Now, to do that, you need a lot of stuff. And as you can see, left turn lane, which means we are stuck at a traffic light here. We didn't just pick up passengers and go, we picked up passengers to stop. What was I saying? Oh yes, the viaduct. Okay, so that was 17 seconds, not bad. The viaduct, sometimes you have to anchor them, so that would be kind of what you would need to do. I don't know if it was possible to do that, but if it wasn't, then do it on another corridor. Come on, guys. Be imaginative. See how we're on another right-of-way here? We are on a right-of-way that is independent from traffic. And we, again, got very lucky here. This is pulling into Camden Yards. So this is the end of the line for the Penn Shuttle. And we just experienced the full gamut of street running on the Baltimore light rail. So what happened was we spent the better part of 17 minutes, almost 18 minutes on the light rail here. We spent 4 1/3 minutes stuck at traffic lights through downtown Baltimore City. You want to know why not a lot of people ride the light rail? It's because those 4 minutes, they're contemplating how much faster they could have gotten there on their own 4 wheels if they had driven. That's why those 4 minutes matter. When somebody is sitting on a light rail vehicle and they see traffic crossing and you are stuck at a red light, what goes through their mind is exactly what tends to go through their mind on a bus, which is, I gotta stop at red lights. I should have just driven. That's what people think. They're not going to think, oh, well, at least the parking isn't gonna cost me anything, and I'm not gonna have to be responsible if something happens to my car, and blah, 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 blah. No, they're not thinking that. Car culture does not allow you to think about that stuff in that moment. What it does is it presents this idea in your head. There's this little voice that says, man, you could really be burning rubber here, man. You could really be gunning it. And you're stuck with a bunch of people around you. Wouldn't it be better if you were just by yourself in your car, comfortable, air conditioned? Not that this thing isn't air conditioned, it's air conditioned. But that's what that little voice is telling you. And that 4 minutes seems a lot longer than 4 minutes when you're stuck on a train. There is a reason why the Howard Street Tunnel was dug. It's not because CSX wanted a bunch of freight trains to go underneath the city. It's because initially they needed passenger trains to go underneath the city. Because for every minute that you continue to allow this is, I would argue, at least 10 people saying, I don't know if I'm going to do this again. I think I'll just drive. I think I'm just going to park Camden Yards next time. Is parking really that expensive? I guess not. That's what you're losing. You're losing people riding this service. You're losing people paying for this service. You're losing people making your service run smoothly. And then when the MTA has to go and ask for money because not as many people are riding the service and increasing the operating budget with their fare money, you're going to have these same people who decided, I don't think so. I don't think I'm going to take that again. That kind of sucked. And you know what they're going to say? Well, why do they need more money? The service kind of sucks. The economic impact of transit, at least in Baltimore, as is calculated by the MTA, typically is $2 to $3 for every dollar spent on transit funding. So basically, you are saying that that ratio is not good enough for you to put in the investment to make that corridor better for riders. It proves that Baltimore City, yes, Baltimore City, not the MTA, doesn't care about the riders on the light rail. That is not how you run a city transportation system. You have the power to make this better. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you.